Hello YouTube, it is your boy B3 back with another kicking graphic novel review. Got a long awaited one for you guys today, Godzilla Rulers of Earth, Volume 3. Yeah, I'm slowly rereading Rulers of Earth. I read them all as they came out, single issue, and then I never got back to them, but they're kind of collectibles now, so I don't want to reread my books, so I bought the trades. Because, you know, it's Godzilla, so I'm going to read it 1,000 times over throughout my life. But, I'm going to read you the back here. Rising up from the depths, Godzilla, hero or enemy to all. The war for the planet takes an unexpected turn as the undersea race known as the Devonians make their move. Monsters from the sea rise to destroy humanity once and for all. But has this all happened before on the planet? Could the monsters of Earth help restore the balance of nature and end the Devonians' plans? Or will Godzilla's wrath be too much for everyone and everything involved to endure? The land will burn and the seas will boil as Godzilla faces his greatest challenge yet. The creative team of Chris Mowry, Matt Frank, and Jeff Zornow return in this collected volume featuring issues 9 through 12 of the series. Really good creative team. As far as the 3 ongoing IDW Godzilla series go, this was the best one. Spoilers for this video, by the way. But we get several monsters in this book. Godzilla, Baragon, Destroyer, Gyra, Gezora, Jet Jaguar, King Caesar, Manda, Mechagodzilla, Sanda, Titanosaurus, and actually more than that. Because there's also Gorosaurus and Kamibas and Mothra. And we see like Batra and several other monsters on cave walls and stuff. It's pretty rad. I would read the story so far section, but I'm going to assume if you're watching a Volume 3 review, then you've either read Volumes 1 and 2 or have watched reviews of them or the single issues leading up to this. So I'm going to skip that. Also, I want to... It didn't mention them on the back of the book, but Priscilla Tramontano, great colors. Great colors. She was the colorist for this. So it begins right where the last one left off, with Titanosaurus attacking the big aircraft carrier or whatever that everybody was on, Lucy and friends, you know. And Gezora and Manda all attack as well, because these 3 sea monsters are being controlled by the Devonians, the undersea race or whatever. Excuse me. And then Godzilla's there, and they're fighting Godzilla also, and he's having a tough time with them, you know? I know the water's kind of Godzilla's element, but the water's like really their element, you know? And so they kind of fight each other off. I mean, it wasn't really them trying to sink that ship or destroy Godzilla. They were having Titanosaurus actually steal something from the ship. A lot of people died. Lucy ended up washing up onto an island where, of course, the Mothra Shinobi were there, you know, the twin Mothra fairies. And then Mothra and her 2 larvae were there as well. And they told Lucy about all these different monsters and stuff, right? So the world has had monsters since its inception. And they keep the balance, you know? And if one gets too strong, another monster comes along and kills it so that the balance doesn't get tipped. There are like land monsters, sky monsters, and sea monsters. Right, like some sky monsters would be like Mothra and etc. And Godzilla's actually not included in the list that's in the Fairy's Cave. But we do see like a flashback to prehistoric times. Late Cretaceous, it looks like. With Gorosaurus fighting Megaguirus. Kamibas shows up. I totally forgot Kamibas was in this book, by the way. I thought Gezora was the only space amoeba monster in this book. I don't think Ganmi, or whatever it's called, is in this. But, yeah. And it talks about how the monsters were forced into hibernation. And they kind of awakened again. Many, many years ago, Megalon was attacking an ancient civilization. King Caesar showed up to kick ass. And their fight was so long and so hard and so throbbing and veiny that the people had to leave where they were settled, and that's where the Mothra natives come from. They're the people that had to leave the area that was happening in. It's kind of vague where that happened, but and then they became the Mothra worshippers. And there are many different monsters. for all these different quote unquote elements or whatever. And the ones of different elements usually don't attack each other much, and they just kind of keep each other balanced. And then we get the fight I've wanted to see pretty much my entire life. I mean, I saw it years ago when it happened, but Godzilla versus Sanda and Gyra, which was really rad. I really liked the fight. It's a fight I've always wanted to see in film form. I think the Gargantuas should be a major part of the Godzilla cinematic universe, and I have made that point multiple times, and I even made an entire video about it, which you can check out on my B3 Productions channel. It's in my vlogs playlist. But it almost seems like the Gargantuas win the fight, thanks to the global defense forces and stuff, because Godzilla was injured from the fight with the sea monsters, so he had like this kind of scar on his face, and then Sanda like hit him with the fuel truck, and the humans were using these sonic cannons on them the entire time, and the sonic cannons were really effective against the sea monsters too, because you remember Titanosaurus's weakness in Terror of Mechagodzilla was sonics. The Space Amoeba's weakness in Space Amoeba was, or Yog's weakness was Sonics, and then Manda just kind of was like, I can't fucking fight Godzilla by myself. But that actually happened later. That wasn't in the first fight. It's in the second fight. And then a Devonian hops onto a human fishing vessel and is like, I'm here to warn your people. Baragon destroys France, kind of alluding to how there are rumors that he was supposed to destroy France and destroy all monsters, even though that seems like it's kind of debunked, maybe. But then he fights Kiryu, heavy arms version. Really cool, Kiryu custom, whatever you want to call him. 2003. It's pretty rad. Godzilla's resting in the sea. The Devonians are like, hey, all the humans are moving their resources to this, to the islands, because the humans are making the Monster Islands. Because you remember in the Showa era they called it Monster Island, but it was multiple islands. But they're calling it Monster Islands in this comic because multiple islands. It's like an archipelago or whatever. And then the Devonian that gets into contact with the humans tells them the history of his race and how they've like they used to be like really peaceful, but then the dumping let a fascist dictator rise to power because they were so scared of humans, and that fascist dictator killed anyone who wasn't useful to the military, and he's not useful to the military, so all his friends and family and everyone he's ever known is dead, which is why he's apparently willing to help the humans destroy them and defeat them, because he doesn't want humankind to be destroyed because they haven't reached the point that his species has yet, or at least they didn't at the time of writing this comic, you know what I'm saying. And then Destroya is one of the sea monsters also, I guess because he's crab-like. I mean, his original creature was a little crustacean that got mutated by the Oxygen Destroyer, but in this one he's a genetically altered life form by the Devonians, I believe. He's not a prehistoric one, I don't think. So then the three other sea monsters and Destroya all team up against Godzilla, which honestly seems like a losing battle to me. Like, in all actuality, without the help of humans, and after being in multiple fights right before that, I think Godzilla would lose this fight. Just, because, I mean, the four of them are all teaming up. It's not a battle royale. It's 4 against 1. Coordinated attacks. Manda holding Godzilla's arms out by wrapping around him, Titanosaurus and Gezora all holding him still while Destroya just like pegs his chest with his horn. Or his stomach. It's crazy. But yeah, the sonic weapons drive off Gezora and Titanosaurus pretty much instantly. And then Manda follows them. And then Destroya was like, that pisses me off. So he just turned into a bunch of little crabs and attacked the humans, which is pretty crazy stuff. And then it turns out the Devonian was actually one of the Cryog aliens who shapeshifted, which kind of is something that you could have guessed, because he was like, I want to help you commit genocide against my entire race. And they just took him at his word. Like, you weren't suspicious that he wanted to commit genocide against his own race? Come on. But yeah, the Devonians did end up destroyed in this book, because Jet Jaguar came to fight Destroya, and then Jet Jaguar piloted Kiryu and used Kiryu's Absolute Zero to freeze Destroya and shatter him, and any crabs that got away aren't enough to form the final form Destroya again, so Destroya is pretty much over. But Jet Jaguar is fucking kick-ass in this book, by the way. If you thought Jet Jaguar was lame in, like, Godzilla vs. Megalon, I'll give you that. But in this book, he is hardcore. He is kick-ass. I love him. It's my favorite depiction of Jet Jaguar, easily. Easily. But yeah, they send all these fancy missiles down to destroy sea monsters in the Devonian ship, because the Devonians have a cryog ship that they're going to detonate to destroy the human fleet, but, you know, it kind of plays it off like Godzilla's dead at the end, and then they relocated a bunch of monsters to the Monster Islands, and the monsters can't really leave because of the sonic weaponry. It's actually turned out to be really effective. And this was a good book. You know, Matt Frank's art is always very impressive, whether he's drawing kaiju or not, but I think we can all agree that kaiju are his specialty. It's what we know and love him for. But I mean, this was a great book. So many different monsters. And legacy monsters, too. You know, this was the first, you know, comic that got the rights to all the Toho monsters. They didn't use every Toho monster. You know, Dagora wasn't in this or anything. And, like, the Griffin, I don't believe, was in this. Skeleturtle is in one volume, but not this one, I don't think. But it's a good book. It's a good book, and it's a good run. It'll make more sense if you read Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters and Godzilla beforehand. But I think it's readable because it gives you a mostly new cast of characters. Like Lucy is really just in this book. She teams up with some people from previous books, but it's kind of whatever. So that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, etc. Next time, I will probably be doing Edge of Spider-Geddon. I mean, I just read it, so it's probably what I'm going to do. But that's it. Thank you all once again for your support, and I'll see you all later.